whether this would be, we could move it forward without recommendation, try to get the research, and let the next council meeting decide if we need to send it back to committee or not, if we can get that information that we need. And now I say that, and I come from the perspective of thinking this bike walk center in North Minneapolis is a great idea. I also know that there was a long and involved process and groups, and I appreciate all the staff and community time that went into looking at the different proposals and coming forward with one, and I feel comfortable with the decision. So I'll admit that. But I wonder if we could move it forward without recommendation, and then if we don't get enough information to feel comfortable, make the case to the council to send it back to committee or not, just in the light of the fact that we're near the end of the year. And I also know that last week before that short cycle, the council meeting, we had budget market. I think that last council meeting was really so that we can deal with this potentially horrendous budget.
Well, Councilmember Johnson.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. I would be comfortable with that. That's fine. Sending it forward without recommendation. But I really want some clarification about this $350,000 of grant money. Again, grant money means taxpayer money. What are we talking about? Startup operating expenses, personnel costs. You mentioned actually, Ms. Klinger, about the health department helping get this up and going. Is that in excess of $350, or is that the $350 would include that? Personnel costs. I mean, how many people are we talking about employing at this place? And is this $350,000 if they start? What was the date that you gave me for completion of getting going?
Mr. Chair, Councilmember Johnson, the date that we required in the RFP as the deadline for the Bike Walk Center to open was October 1st of 2011, so next October.
So essentially, okay, so we're talking, and then the grant ends in March of 2012?
That's correct, yes.
So $350,000 to fund?
Many of the costs would be the startup costs in terms of buying the inventory that they would need to stock the center. Personnel, they're looking at an on-site manager that they've already identified. There would be a mechanic, a senior mechanic at the bike shop, and then there would be 4 to 5 youth that would be employed with a stipend for that. And then the supplies to start up the coffee shop component, programming costs. They would like to do spinning classes in the winter and also partner with Theodore Wirth to do snowboarding sales, so there would be costs associated with purchasing that equipment, everything that's needed to go in and get the space ready to open. Not remodeling costs, but everything that fills the space. That's what our $350,000 would be.
Well, would our $350,000 be used to buy inventory for the coffee shop? I hope not. Or inside improvements for the coffee shop?
It would not be used for remodeling costs, but it can be used to purchase whatever they need to get the coffee shop operational.
Oh, that's a problem.
That's coffee, I guess.
Okay, Councilmember Tanya.
Of this is a woman that opened an ice cream parlor in February. So I've got a lot of questions about opening a business. So we're looking, first of all, let's start with remodeling. Where's the remodeling money coming from if it's not part of the grant?
Mr. Chair, Councilmember Tuthill, in our RFP, we requested that the applicants identify in-kind resources to pay for the remodeling costs and any other fees that were not allowed with our grant funding, which they did. It's coming from the Cultural Wellness Center, I believe. It's listed in their budget proposal.
Because when you start doing a coffee shop, anything with food, I know this from experience, that to get an NSF sticker on your toaster, that toaster goes from $9.99 at Target to $150. You can't open it without it. So, I mean, I know it's very, very expensive. So the money's got to be there, or you'll be halfway through the project, the grant will be out the window because the remodeling money went away. So I'm really concerned about the fact of making sure that that money is secured and enough money is secured. The other thing is, if we vote on this today and it goes to the next council, did I hear this correctly, that you're looking at opening in October of 2011?
Mr. Chair, Councilmember Tuthill, yes, that is correct.
May I ask, what in the world are you going to do for the next 11 months? That business could be opened, and I just don't see why it would take 11 months. I know you can open a business. I mean, I opened a business in less than 35 days, and what drug it out was the health department didn't come and give me the final sign-off. So, I mean, that's a long time without an income coming in, with rent being paid, with expenses. And the other thing I'm interested in is what the rent is and what are the rents close by, and I would also do some checking to make sure that the realtor is not handing you a line if it's been empty for some time, that all of a sudden, because the city's interested or we may have 3 other people, it's a really great trick for getting your space rented. So I've got a lot of reservations here.
Okay. Mr. Chair, Councilmember Title, I'd at least like to address the first part of what you said. The October 1st deadline, we came up with that deadline as we were writing the RFP because we didn't know the timeline that would be needed to, if the applicants chose a space that needed intensive remodeling or reconstruction before it could be opened, we wanted to give them leeway to do it right and to open it successfully. We don't anticipate that it will take until October of next year to get this center up and going. The Cultural Wellness Center has identified the property at Lowry Avenue that needs very minimal modifications, which the property management has already agreed to make a lot of those. So we don't anticipate that the cost for getting the building ready to go, or the timeline for getting the building ready to go will be very long. We actually anticipate an opening much earlier than October.
How many square feet is the building? What's the square footage of the... Okay, and how much is that going to be bike walk, and how much of that is going to be coffee shop?
You can come up, sir. And please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Anthony Taylor. I'm with the Cultural Wellness Center and Major Taylor Bicycling Club in Minnesota, and hopefully at the Major Motion Bike Walk Center in North Minneapolis. And we've actually are designing the space so that what we've really built out is a functional retail space and functional technical space for bicycling, bike shop, and the bike walk components of it. The coffee shop will be housed within technically the same real estate. We're not designing it so we have a coffee shop business that is adjacent to a bike shop business. And even in our research, what we've really spent time doing over the last 12 months was looking at opportunities or kind of unique things going on in the bike business that was actually creating greater sustainability for bike shops, because and maybe you don't or do know, bike shops have not historically been great business investments. And so we really looked for levers that would give us a greater possibility of sustainability. And one of the ones that we identified, and we've seen it in a number of places nationally as well as locally, has been the combination of a coffee-type business as well as a bike business.
So let me make sure that I heard you correctly. You have 3,500 square feet for the bike walk center. The coffee shop will be in the same building but a different business with a separate entrance. It's not part of this? I mean, I just tried to visualize.
No, it is not. It's actually going to be housed in the same, one entrance into the same business, where we will have we've identified approximately, it's actually less than 700 square feet of the actual space that will be designated for the coffee counter and the location where we'll be able to make drinks and serve food, and it will be housed directly inside of the bike.
Okay, so the 3,500 square feet encompasses both?
Yes.
Thank you.
Councilmember Hofstad?
The longer we talk, Mr. Chair, Ms. Kalino, the more questions I certainly have about a number of issues that we've had today, but especially the viability of this particular business. And it's not that I don't like the idea of increasing biking or don't support that, because clearly I do. But what I'm really concerned about is that we are going to be adding yet another business that I'm not certain about the infrastructure of this business. I understand the direction that the department wants to go, and I really support that. But I just am really concerned that this is going to lead us down the road of success. And I'm concerned that we are going to have all the questions answered by the next council meeting. And so I just have some questions about whether or not we want to proceed and actually in this fashion.
Councilmember Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I am going to give a short history of coffee shops in North Minneapolis. We have 3, I think, or no, 4 now, all of which are run by, private entrepreneurs, because Caribou or Dunn Brothers or what are some of the other ones? Starbucks. None of them are interested in North Minneapolis. Everybody's put their own dime